I'm still sick from a few days ago. So, I thought on this episode of the Kokino Podcast, I would talk about what it's like to be sick and talk about what my thoughts are on being sick, which I have talked about a little bit in previous episodes, but I'm going to expound upon it a little bit more and hopefully give you a new thought about it. One can only hope. But anyways, being sick, it's a thing that happens to people. And I think it pretty much can happen to anybody. And there is a thing that you shouldn't do when you notice that you are sick, when you become sick. What you shouldn't do is you shouldn't try to fight being sick. You shouldn't try to insist that you're not sick and act like you're not sick and try to avoid the feeling of sickness. Because all that will do is postpone you getting better. When you're sick, you have to just lay down and rest until your body heals itself. You have to trust your body and believe that it will heal itself. And basically what sickness kind of does is it forces you to do that. Like if you avoid admitting that you're sick and resting, your body will get more sick until you have to rest. But if you're willing to just rest right at the beginning, I think the sickness will go away much quicker. That's my theory. And I don't really have any more theories about this. I've noticed that whenever you get sick, your emotions change. Like you stop caring. Like your ability to care about what other people think and about just a bunch of social things just drops off of the face of the planet. And you just end up saying things that you never would have said were you healthy. Or you end up at least thinking things that you never would have thought when were you healthy. I can't even think of any examples. I just know that I've felt a lot more, salty about things. And I know I've talked about this on a previous episode of the podcast, but it's an interesting effect. Being sick kind of almost frees me. Like I almost like being sick because when I'm sick, all of the emotional blockage that was there before is now no longer there. Like I don't care if this podcast turns out good. I don't care if I deliver the lines right. I don't care at all. And because I don't care, I do a better job, If you care too much, you're going to sound awkward while you're talking into a microphone. But if you don't care at all, you're not going to sound awkward, at the very least. It's going to sound like something that someone can at least listen to and get something from. And if it's not something that's actually like an intellectual thought that changes their perception of the world, it can at least be something that is an emotional comfort. Because hearing someone talk and listening to someone talk gives you a kind of emotional comfort. It makes you feel like you don't have to talk. And it makes you feel like you don't have to think. You can just listen. And I think, thinking is something that's very important to do, right? You shouldn't just listen to people. You should do thinking on your own, too. Listen to yourself. But, the process of just listening is also good. I think that there's 3 things that are very important that you should always work on. You should work on your listening skills. That's listening to what other people have to say and understanding it and not immediately dismissing it because you think that you're right? I know I've done that before where someone's making an argument toward me and I'm immediately thinking about what's wrong with the argument instead of actually listening to what he has to say, instead of actually picturing it, instead of actually, understanding. I just immediately go to dismissing it and then coming up with my own counter-argument. And that's what listening skills are for. You need to learn to stop doing that and actually listen. The second thing you need to work on is thinking. Thinking is essentially listening to yourself. It is when you just spend time on your own and let your brain process things. You can either do it deliberately, or you can do it in a mundane kind of way. Like if you go for a walk, your brain's going to automatically start thinking eventually. And that is the second thing that you need to work on, because thinking will help you come up with original thoughts and understand yourself better, and better be able to articulate to others who you are, and better be able to get whatever your goals are. Right? Now, the third thing that you need to work on is expressing yourself to others. That's something that I haven't worked on at all. That's part of the reason why I'm recording this podcast, because I haven't worked on that. But it's basically taking the thoughts that you've thought, which you understand in the context of your own brain because you have all of the thoughts lined up in the right way. But if you said just the single word that brings up all of those images and thoughts, no one would understand it, right? You have to give multiple words, and you have to break it down, and you have to be able to transfer that thought in the best form possible to another person. That's the third thing that you need to work on. And if you work on all three of these things, I think that a lot of people are good at maybe two of them, but not all of them. But it's important to be good at all of them. And you know what? I pulled that idea that a lot of people are only good at two of them out of my ass, because it seems like a thing that fits in the paradigm of how you explain things. So, yeah, forgive me for that. I just felt like doing it. But anyways, I think that all three of these things are important to work on. And the hardest one for me is talking, explaining things to people, because I have not spent time talking with people. I don't even know if this podcast will help me to explain myself better. I know I think that the brain processes that you go through when you're explaining yourself to a microphone are different than the brain processes you go through when you're explaining yourself to a person. Because when you're with a person, there's a kind of a chemistry, and you can kind of read and understand what they're feeling and act appropriately by that. When you're just sitting down and talking to a microphone, you don't see nobody. You just understand yourself. You have to imagine how people are going to react, which is not something I'm even doing right now. I'm just expressing myself in the best possible manner I can. Okay, so is there anything else I have to say? I guess it's turned from sickness into being about sickness into being about, like, confidence. I guess a good way to get confidence is to become sick and then put yourself in the public, which is not a good way to prevent diseases and viruses from spreading, but wow, I feel a lot less worried about what people think of me or about whether or not a conversation goes smoothly when I'm sick. So I wonder if I should ever, I'm not going to do it this time, because it's probably a dumb idea, but I'm thinking maybe the next time I'm sick, I should go out and talk to people. But it's like, I'm on the fence about it. I don't know. It might not be a good idea. Who knows? Is there anything else I got to talk about? Anything else I can spread my knowledge of the world? I don't think so. I think this is all for now, folks. So it's been about 8 minutes and 33 seconds, and this has been the Kokino Podcast. I hope you all enjoyed it. I hope you all had a great time, and I hope you all go and create your own things, because we all need to be creators. We all need to have fun. Go pursue your dreams. Go find the one you want to marry. Go find the project you want to complete and complete it. Marry her/him. Do it. That's all I gotta say. I will see you guys next time. Have a good life.